Dunque, un buon pomeriggio, iniziamo questo appuntamento. Io sono Maria Lisia Poggio e mi occupo di training per Ebsco. Questo appuntamento è dedicato appunto a diversi editori. Sono qui con noi quest'oggi Gareth Dyke di Taylor & Francis, Editor in Chief di Historical Biology Journal, Veronika Dubovnikova di Karger, Key Account Manager, e Uwe Stele di Time Sales Manager. E poi sono con noi anche Paola Piretta, Ebsco Sales Director, Annalisa Mamberti, Bids Contract and E-Packages Manager di Ebsco. Durante questo appuntamento di oggi vi verranno illustrate le proposte editoriali di Bentham Science Publisher, di Karger Publisher e di Time. Questa sessione sarà in inglese, ma per qualsiasi domanda o qualsiasi necessità siamo a vostra disposizione per riprendere quanto detto in precedenza, e vi ricordo appunto che per qualsiasi vostro commento, intervento e domanda avete a disposizione una chat. Quindi io lascio la parola a Gareth Dyke che ci parlerà appunto di Bentham Science Publisher.
Excellent. Thank you very much. My pleasure to have the chance to do this, and thank you very much for the invitation. Let me just put my screen up for everybody. Hope you can see that okay. Hope you can hear me okay. Hope everything's working okay. Yes, Gareth Dyke is my name. I work with an author services research solutions company called Edance, EDANZ.com, and also with Bentham Science Publishers. So the presentation today, it's my pleasure to be able to give it. It's about Bentham Science. It's about the content and the options available to you, your library, your institution with Bentham Science Publishers. So let's get started. Let's jump in. Let's begin by talking about who we are. Who are Bentham Science? Bentham Science, a publisher of scientific, technical, and medical research with more than 170 online and print journals and more than 1,000 online and print books, providing information solutions for researchers involved in a variety of different disciplines. I'll talk about some of the discipline-specific content that Bentham provides in a moment. I'll also talk about some of the options available to you if you would like to jump in and get access to Bentham content. But I'll say at the start of this presentation, I've worked with a number of different publishers. I've worked with a number of author services companies. I have spent a lot of time over the last 2 years or so doing webinars and online training. Bentham have some great journals, and the APCs, the article processing charges, are often zero if you sign up for a read and publish agreement. So let's talk more about that a little bit later in the presentation. But I would say to start with some of the highlights of the Bentham Science Publisher portfolio: leading review journals in molecular medicine, drug metabolism, Alzheimer's disease research. The list goes on and on. High impact factor, well-indexed journals. 2 of these journals ranked in the top 30 impact factor rankings in pharmacy. And as you'll see in a moment, a number of Nobel laureates. That's right, Nobel laureates indeed do endorse Bentham Science journals. So that is important. Having these kinds of caliber of people on editorial boards endorsing journals is, of course, very important. So we put together a small summary of some of the individuals that have been involved with Bentham Science journals in the past, so that you can see some of that content in this presentation today. Endorsements, don't worry, of course, we'll give you a copy of this presentation through our colleagues Bibliostar, through our colleagues at Ebsco after this presentation. And if you'd like us to do some online training or engage with you or your publishing company or your institution on another occasion, we'd be extremely happy to have that opportunity. Bentham Science Publishers, endorsed by a number of Nobel laureates working around the world. I'll talk a bit more about the different subject areas, the different kinds of content that Bentham are publishing. So just show you a few more of these endorsements. Robert Huber there, the Nobel Prize winner in chemistry in 1988. Herbert Brown, Nobel Prize in chemistry as well, talking about results published in Bentham Science journals. So all good stuff, all very credible and fantastic and good, important, accessible information that would be useful to your researchers. And that's not the only reason to subscribe to Bentham journals, to have a look at the Bentham content. Article processing charges compared to impact factors, some of the best in the publishing industry. You can jump on over to eurekaselect.net, eurekaselect.net, have a look at the Bentham content on that searchable database. You can register for free updates. You can get access to free trials. I'll give you email addresses at the end of this presentation for colleagues that you can get in touch with if that is going to be of interest, perhaps to your institution, perhaps to your library, perhaps to your consortia. But again, eurekaselect.net is a great place to have a look at the Bentham content. What kinds of journals, review journals, open access journals, more traditional content is being put out there. As I mentioned already at the beginning of this presentation, more than 1,000 books in the Bentham Science content collection. All of this is peer reviewed, of course, and you can access this content in a variety of ways, depending upon what works best for you, what works best for your institution, for your consortium, for your academic society. I don't know. You can have the books in PDF format. You can have them in print on demand format. You can have them in standard old-fashioned print format if you want. And as I'll show you in a minute, the content can be bundled depending upon collections of thematic subjects. So if you've got researchers at your institution working in a particular area of chemistry or natural science or drug delivery or pharmacy or pharmacology, then that might be of interest to you as well. Handbooks, reference books, textbooks across a broad range of disciplines. And Bentham provides multi-user licenses as well. And you'll see in a minute how that can work, what kind of safe and secure access you can have for your readers. There's 6 broad categories of content that Bentham are providing. You can see that here on the link. I'll put these links into the chat at the end of my presentation this afternoon. You can have a look at the different subject areas shown here on this slide, down the 2 sides of this graphic, and the kinds of collections that Bentham has available for libraries on a pick and choose basis. So very flexible. You don't have to take everything. You don't have to take anything that you don't need. You can come in and you can look at what you might want to gain access to on that license, depending on the strengths of your institution. We have read and publish agreements as well, as I mentioned twice already in this presentation. Really great because the impact factors of many of these journals pretty good, and the article processing charges can be 0 if you sign up for one of those read and publish agreements. So why not, keep your institution, keep your colleagues up to date with those revolutionary findings. Here's a few areas where Bentham has particular strength in terms of content: nanotechnology, molecular diagnostics, new methods for drug chemical synthesis, new insights in molecular biology, epigenetics, green chemistry and technology, latest updates on clinical drug trials, and one of the only, if not the only, major publisher that puts out novel patent-related information. You'll see that again in a minute. So major disciplines of interest as publications for librarians. They're listed here on this slide. You may wish to take a screenshot. You may wish to get in touch with me or my colleague Franz. At the end of this presentation, we'll be happy to send you a copy of the slides, other information that we're using today. These journal groups publish review papers, they publish original papers as well. And so there's lots of options and lots of flexibility, both in terms of how you can get research work published from your institution and also the content that would be available for your institution to access for research. And here's a quick summary of some of the impact factors. You can see the most recent impact factors down there on the far right-hand side of this screen, significant increases in many cases from the impact factors that we saw in 2019. So the point to take away from this is that Bentham journals are on the rise. Bentham journals often have very decent impact factors, as you can see here, within particular subject areas. And as we'll see in a minute, the kinds of read and publish agreements that we can offer make publishing in these excellent journals with great impact factors relatively cheap, if not free, for your researchers. We're indexed, Bentham Science Publishing, journals indexed in a number of different places. You can see those different places, those different indexing resources listed here on this slide, most recently in Cabell's Analytics, Scopus, and so on and so forth. So lots of credibility, lots of information behind these journals that gives researchers the confidence that they need to be sure that they're selecting good journals, both for their research and when they're citing research to put into those papers. So I hear you asking, why Bentham Science? Gareth, why should I publish in Bentham Science? Well, this company, we make publishing simple. There's a very easy manuscript submission process, an in-house manuscript submission system called Manuscript Point. So lots of journals, of course, using Scholar One, lots of journals, of course, using, Manuscript Central and these other systems for manuscript submission, but this system, it's much simpler than many of the others on the market. There's rigorous peer review. Bentham, of course, ensures that all manuscripts are thoroughly peer reviewed. Of course they do. The editorial boards are carefully managed. And we provide with Edance, working closely with Bentham. Maybe you've heard of Edance, our company for research solutions, editing and translation, English copy editing, language translation, language editing services, both pre and post publication. So that's something to consider as well. If you're a publisher listening to this and you're looking for great, high quality English editing services or other research solutions services to offer either post-publication or as publisher originating services for your authors, as well as training and all the other things that we do at Edance in partnership with Bentham, then you can, get in touch with me, of course, at the end of this presentation as well. And something else I'll mention, as somebody who's worked, as I've talked about, with a range of different publishers and author services companies, the marketing team at Bentham are absolutely fantastic. So if you get work in one of these journals as a researcher or as an institution, you're going to get cited. You're going to get lots of visibility, lots of publicity, because the marketing team are fantastic. They work night and day to make sure that work published in Bentham Science journals gets the visibility that it deserves. One of the best teams I've ever seen, for sure. So this company, of course, great marketing, a worldwide presence, agents around the globe, helping local academic and corporate institutions to maximize their efficiency in publishing, maximize the output of their research. And that's what it's all about for all of us, really, helping researchers, assisting researchers to get their work into the best journals possible. Writing and publishing, maybe English is not your first language or your second language or even your third language, but we're here. Companies like ours, organizations like ours are here to help. So researchers get to choose their journals, online access to individual articles of their choice from any journal. We can provide this content in any format that's required, and there's convenient access options for librarians, of course, and open access options as well. So as I've mentioned, do get in touch with us. We'd be happy to provide additional information about all of this. We have a number of gold subscribers around the world. You can see them here on this slide, in the US, in Europe, global pharma companies that we work with at Edance, that colleagues at Bentham also work with, and consortia. We're building our global presence at that government level, at that consortia level around the world. And so let me also mention, I'm sure you're thinking about this yourself, like the editorial boards of these journals have been and are a dominant element in the success of Bentham journals, because this is why researchers like me pick journals to put our papers into. And so we've put a lot of effort into makeup of these editorial boards and providing researchers, young researchers, access to these key opinion leaders who are on the editorial boards of many of these journals. Some information here about the workflow, some information here about the review process that Bentham Science journals put all of their papers through. Pretty rigorous. Of course, it needs to be. Authors get the option, double-blind peer review. There's a two-stage review process. And as I mentioned at the start of this short presentation this afternoon, we bundle our content into thematic areas. Thousands of scholarly journals available. We group them into themes, perhaps based on disease type or thematic area. So if you get in touch with us, we can provide you with a tailored package that fits best to your institutional needs. So benefits of this kind of service would include you could access, for example, articles on over 25 diseases, medical specialities, engineering, let's say, meet your student and researcher information needs. And our token licensing system allows libraries to purchase access based on their needs, based on patrons' usage, and save money. Of course it does. So you can also access research content in a category as soon as it is published. I will quickly give you a little bit of information about the disease-wise collection. Here's, for example, the Bentham Science Oncology collection, 45 books, 130 journals bundled together, providing researchers, perhaps at your institution, with access to that content. Diabetes articles, similarly, often bundled for researchers in that particular area. Anti-inflammatory articles, you can see them here, 120 journals, 23 and more ebooks that may very well be of interest to your researchers. Central nervous system articles. We work a lot on these kinds of research areas also at EdAnts, 15 journals, 53 books, and lots of series of content that could be of interest to groups of researchers working within individual themes: cardiovascular disorders, innovation and news. Bentham, of course, is the only publisher that regularly publishes journal content dealing with patent reviews. That may also be something of interest to you. Please do have a look at our comprehensive book publishing program as well. More than 870 published books in the catalogue and growing. That's something else that we'd be very happy to provide further information about. Our purchasing options, you can get a free online trial. Just get in touch with us at the end of this presentation. And of course, we're here to help, providing information for librarians, access to content, comprehensive, focused, targeted within individual specific subject areas. So you can purchase individual articles on a pay-per-view basis. You can build a collection for your researchers, maximizing their potential and your institution's potential at the same time, because everybody wants to enhance the research reputation of their institution, shift it up those world rankings. How are you going to do that? Providing cheap access to journals with decent impact factors. And that's not all. Ladies and gentlemen, as you've seen in this presentation this afternoon, we also provide online training, managing writing, planning your research, understanding ethics, statistics and data presentation. We have a huge range of webinars, online courses, just an hour over a series of days, face-to-face workshops when that's possible again, that you can book us to do at your institution, at your publishing company. Doesn't matter. We'd love to hear from you at the end of this session. This is, of course, very important. Almost 2 million articles published every year in the STEM subjects, 30,000 published every week. How are you going to stand out? How are your researchers going to stand out? So effective writing and submission is the name of the game for us. We are here to help your researchers maximize their scholarly impact. Give them a rewarding publishing experience at the end of the day. Just a few more examples of great Bentham content published recently that's getting lots and lots of citations. We help researchers get into the right mindset for writing and publishing, helping them pick research topics, develop research ideas, build their articles, identify knowledge gaps, work on areas where review papers might be useful for them to write, identifying their audience, gathering that supporting data, talking about the purpose of their research. We provide roadmaps for researchers to help them get their work into leading journals, how to prepare before writing, selling yourself to journal editors, managing your structure in academic writing, and being effective in English writing and publishing. We know it's not easy for many colleagues around the world, helping them to be the best that they can be in English with their articles. So if you'd like to avail of some of our services, why not follow us on these social media channels? You can see them here on this slide, or do get in touch with me or my wonderful colleague, Dr. Franz Lettenstrom, the Global Sales Director at Bentham Science Publishers, on the email address listed here on the screen. Does your university or institute support open access? Of course they do. Well, Bentham has a license where the APC is 0 and there's no limits on the number of articles that your researchers could get published in Bentham Science journals. And that sounds pretty good to me. So why not get in touch with Franz or Annalisa at Ebsco for more information. My name's Gareth. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation this afternoon. And thank you very much for the invitation to present it. Have a nice afternoon and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you for listening.